applying different pain compliance techniques on the ground when you're entangled, okay? So, everybody knows if I collapse the hand this way and push it, no matter which direction the hand is facing, I have a wrist compression. We call that a gooseneck, okay? So I can go here, and he's gonna feel that, right? I can go up, he's gonna feel that. I can go out and pull it in this way. He's gonna feel it in any direction if I compress the wrist. Does that make sense?
Sir.
I don't even have to hold this. This could be on the ground. On the ground, I bend his elbow and I push towards the ground. You get the wrist compression. Make sense? The second option is once I turn to a certain point, he's gonna start feeling it in the wrist and in the shoulder a little bit. Now, I'm not advocating for us to do a bunch of wrist throwing, but you can see once this stops and that stops, right, he starts losing balance because of that. So anytime that I can ultimately twist this, he's gonna feel it in his wrist, his elbow, or his shoulder. The weakest link will probably get the pain. Likewise, I could go this way, and we're gonna think, well, let's turn this as far as he can. Once it maxes out, it doesn't hurt a whole lot. I can't break his balance this way, right? But notice the difference. If I leave the thumb pointing down, I bend the elbow here, he drops quickly, okay? It's just a different lock. So I'm gonna smash the nerves between his hand and his wrist by twisting here and doing that, right? Hurts more if I pull here and I twist here, okay? So we're gonna get some counter pressure. Now, why am I showing you all that? You all right, Lyndon?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. In the event that Lyndon grabs me, right, depending on what I do with this hand, I might be able to make an instantaneous lock. If I pin it, for example, with this hand, stretch him out and turn, and I have an elbow lock. Okay? Make sense? I pin it, right? Hold it to my body. Now, if I just try to turn like this, his body will lock. So I want to make the arm straight. I turn away. Slide down onto the elbow. I've got an elbow lock. Who's seen this before? Chris likes this one. All right. Likewise, if I pin it to my body, right, and I hold on to it this way, and I start turning this way, notice that I'm starting to get this lock, and if I roll, I should tear him up nicely, okay? Does that make sense?
Sure.
So the more I go this way, the more he starts going down. So I have to roll quicker than he can get down. And we're not gonna do this to Lyndon, but imagine, I'm gonna let him go. Imagine that I get him here, you stay standing. I get him here and he starts torqued out, and I just do this with his hand inside my grip. It's gonna really torque that wrist. Does that make sense? All right, likewise, if I decide to, I can push and bend this and just collapse it into my chest to make this lock, right? Move into the shoulder lock, and I can bend this wrist this way, okay? So if we understand that, then once we're on the ground, we start thinking, how can I ultimately do something more ground jiu-jitsu-y looking, okay? First thing is, we might decide we want to go for something simple. Let's say Americana. I lock this, what's his defense?
Make it straight.
He makes it straight, he grabs his hand. Oh, but look what I've got. Everybody see that nice wrist compression?
Sure.
All right. Now, if I switch my hands and turn it in, I push it out, then I can push easier this way with my feet. Lyndon doesn't like that one. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
How about this one? Right? I lift him up here. Got a wrist compression here. Now notice, if I pull it into his shoulder, the shoulder stops. I don't want to pull it out and then down. Okay? Then I can ultimately grab it here, and I can start twisting it in a way. Now his shoulder and his elbow are going to feel that. It hurts the wrist a little bit, but this is all going to be shoulder and elbow. Okay? And once it gets tight, I just go in that direction, and I just yank that. That's good self-defense technique. He should be disabled, incapacitated at that point. Say that we go up for this one, right? I can bend the elbow this way, right? Push down, and now I've got a shoulder lock here. Does that make sense? So what I'm telling you guys is that we overlook a lot of things because we get hyper-focused on Americana, right? We get hyper-focused on Kimura, right? I go up here like this, right? I can still bend this wrist. And I've got this wrist compression here, or I can hold this hand. See how that makes this nice Z? I hold this, now I crank this way. And this is gonna hurt his wrist, but I can drop my elbow here and tear all that up nicely, okay? All right, everybody, get a partner, put your head towards Lyndon's head and like slices of a pie in your jiu-jitsu game, okay? Yeah. So, if I'm in the guard, right, and he goes to do big swim but leaves one hand behind, right, I immediately start working on this hand and I can start turning the hand. Once I turn the hand, then I have a lock. Brent did not like that. Brent made a bad face. Now, if I bend this here, right, he's gonna stop trying to do the big swim. He's gonna try to get this hand out, right? So maybe he pulls one of my hands off, right? And he's trying to escape. Not a problem. I go back to this, all right? Then I grab a hold of this, like I'm gonna pull him towards me, twist the wrist, his hand's facing him now. Now I hold him with the guard, and I wrist compress him here. Okay? Now remember, I'm not pressing the wrist. Brent can take that. I'm pressing these two knuckles towards, his hands are way tighter than mine too. I'm pushing his, everybody watch Brent, this is cool. No. Right. All right, once I do this, I can also do this, and I've got a nice shoulder lock. Now remember, there's nowhere for him to roll because I'm controlling him. I switch this out here, and this is a nice shoulder lock. I can pull the head away, and that intensifies the pain of the shoulder lock, okay? These are small circle jiu-jitsu techniques that typically you see in Japanese jiu-jitsu. Now, why am I showing them to you? I'm gonna tell you right now that Brazilian jiu-jitsu people find this to be rude. They don't like small joint manipulations, but what's the main ankle lock that we love? Heel hook. It's a small joint manipulation, and it works really well. This is the same thing. So all the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys out there are like, dude, don't do that. That's bullcrap, man. That ain't real jiu-jitsu. Guess what? Let me put you in it and see if you can stop. See if you can do something other than tap out. All right. By the way, we still have control, pull, manipulate, and we move here to Kimura. Now, I've seen a lot of people breaking people's arms because they don't hold this close to the body. So they get all this movement, and it doesn't go into the shoulder. It doesn't hurt the shoulder anymore. It starts affecting the humerus, and the bone breaks at some point. And people are like, yeah, I wanted to break his arm. That's super good. Well, you know what? I can hold him here, and I can make a small manipulation. That's all shoulder, right? Mm-hmm. But now watch. I just changed my grip. All right? I don't have to break his arm. Okay? I can hold him right here. And if this doesn't hurt enough, which it does, I can crank him up, and I'm still keeping this compressed to my chest, so I'm not gonna break the arm, so to speak. I'm doing a legit tap out, which is a pain compliance technique. Make sense? All right, get with your partner, start in the guard, and I'll coach you guys through a couple of these wrist compressions and these wrist locking techniques. And you can see if you like it. By the way, if you hate it, guess what? You still got Jujigatami, Wakigatami, Udigarami, Udigatami. These are all the wrist, or the shoulder and elbow locks that we love so much. Go. And there's nothing cooler for a jiu-jitsu guy than to twist his dad into a pretzel. So this is gonna be awesome for Caleb. So again, I'm like this. He's gonna, remember, he's gotta do a wrist break. When I go to do big swim, I wanna escape. He makes wrist break, puts his thumb in there and pins that to his chest. Now, he's got to keep this pinned. That doesn't hurt. I'm still working on making my escape, right? He's going to now take his right hand, he's going to bend the elbow, and he's got to keep this cranked down, and then he starts pushing that down. Now that hurts. I'm probably not going to tap, but I can no longer get this. All right? So he could tap me out if he cranks that and pushes down that hard enough. Now watch. The stability of this is what makes it work. So I just do this. Make sense? So he's cranking it, and I just mash my hand back flat. Now, do it. He's got nothing. Because I'm in posture. How did this work? I gave it to him, watch. Thumb should be in the meat of my hand. Right there. Now watch, I give it to him, watch. Once my arm is locked, he can rotate it and he can wrist lock me. He pulls it in and that's tight. I shove that all the way over. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Now, all he has to do is take his other hand, pin my hand on top of his hand. He's got a choice of arm bars. He just kicks over and there's his arm bar. Does that make sense? So do you see how one led to the other and kept him from getting his guard broken? All right, so people out there on YouTube who are gonna be yelling and screaming, that's not real jiu-jitsu, whatever. Come here and let me twist you into a pretzel, then you can say if it's real jiu-jitsu or not. So here we are, right? Me in the butt. I go to do big swim. He breaks, grabs, right? I'm looking for an escape. He bends this and it stops this escape. Now, he doesn't have me very well. He wants this to be down about in his solar plexus and he wants to pin. That's a good pin, I can feel it. And then when he pulls this out, makes a big angle and down. And that is gonna keep me from fiddling with this. I don't like it, so I'm gonna stop. He grabs my hands, now he makes his arm lock. And now he's got what we consider real jiu-jitsu, elbow locks, right? Everybody give that a try. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna hold on. He reaches back to go make big swim, right? Once he straightens out this arm, I break, pin it to my chest. Now I want the arm to be straight, so what? You okay?
Yeah.
So I straighten him out. I pin this doesn't hurt. When I do this, watch what I do with my legs. Now, he smashes that down because he doesn't want me to arm lock him. I now have a choice of arms. I can go this way, right? Or I can go this way, but you have to be close. All right, look, see that space? That's not gonna work. My knee has to be behind his neck, so I have to be here. Then I squeeze. Now I've got the elbow. All right, now, how do you know you've got a good arm lock position? Can he easily get that arm out? Pull. Pull. So my calves are crushing down on his back. My thighs are pinning here. Now, I'm kind of loose here, but I'm tight here. Pull out. Everybody see? So while most of you guys think this is what I want this. I got it. Hold it. He can ultimately pull this out, right? But now watch. I'm gonna turn and do the other arm so that everyone, watch this shoulder. This is the magic, right? I go to make my arm bar. Now watch, I don't want his shoulder to have any room. Watch this face go away. Everybody see? Yes. Now, get the arm out. All right? You have to have pretty good hamstrings, by the way, to do this. And then I just lift, and I've got my arm lock, okay? So, point number one, let's go ahead. He goes to make big swim. Other side. He goes to make big swim. He leaves this arm behind. I do a wrist break off of the belt. I got to grab this way. The thumb is between the first finger and the thumb, and then my fingers are on this side, and I pin that to my chest. Then I pull hard, and I can't let this roll. I got to keep it over here. Pull. Now, he's okay there until I do this. I start moving my body until I crank him. He starts cranking that back. He shoves it back. This is what I wanted anyway. Now I got him. Okay? And if you do got him, you could potentially let this go. I've got him here. Why don't I grab this and I can grab this one? Right? I don't think the camera got that one, but that's okay. Everybody got the idea?
Yes, sir.
It can't be a whole bunch of this. He's just gonna pull his hand away and make the break, okay? He's gonna make the escape. Grab it, pull it, twist it, lock it. He smashes that back down. I grab that and I make the arm lock, okay? The elbow lock. Play with it, go, from the guard. Situational stuff. All right? I'm doing a bunch of situational stuff. In order for any of, y'all get around the head side so that you can see. In order for any of this to work, his arm has to be straight. All right, let's say that he dips his head towards me and he's holding on tight here. Am I gonna get control of this arm in any ways if he doesn't want me to have it? No. Right? I'm gonna be pulling on this and why can't I get this to happen? I can't get his arm free. Situation number one is he's going for a big swim. Now look, he left this behind. Thank you, that's what I wanted. I go to put my wrist lock kind of position in and I break the grip. Straighten his arm, pin it to my body, pull the elbow, and I start locking. He smashes that down flat. That's all situational. What if he doesn't smash that down flat? I twist the crap out of it until he taps, right? I could also move this to here. Now I got this, right? I still have this one, right? There's a lot of stuff I can then do, all right? So it's all situational. If he doesn't make this first move to do big swim, right? I need the arm straight for this technique to work. Otherwise, he's holding on tight and I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff that isn't gonna work. I gotta break, I gotta lock, I gotta bend, then I use my legs to pull him to where I want him. He smashes it out. No problem. I turn, I switch, and I control that arm, and there I've got this arm lock. Let's say that he gets the arm lock out. He manages to pull that away. I still have this arm to deal with, right? We could do omoplata this way, but since we're talking a little bit right now about wrist locks, why don't I turn this and I crank him here? Or I can crank him this way. I can push the elbow into my leg and I can arm lock him this way and then crank him again this way. So again, when you're kind of looking at these things, you can't say, I'm gonna make him do the big swim guard break. If he doesn't do the big swim guard break, this stays in the toolbox until such things happen. Okay, let's do one that will be pretty easy to get. He's pretty close, right? He's a little bit closer, right? I can still do this, right? Pin this to the ground. This doesn't hurt him. This doesn't hurt him. This does hurt him. Now, in order for him to get this out, he has to reach across the top of my hands and pull both of them back to the belt position. Once he does that and he breaks out, I've lost it. So how much time do I have? He grabs the belt, break, turn. I got this much time. And if I don't shock his brain into tapping, he reaches over, pulls it hard, straightens his arm out, and goes back. These are quick. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
If we don't do them in a quick and meaningful way, with confidence in our fine motor skills, we'll probably miss it. But you know what the good news is? I can't break his guard while he's fighting with my wrists. Does that make sense? Kind of think about that, right? You're just tormenting this person while they're trying to break your guard, cranking the wrist, right? There's other things you can do. You can be setting up a choke and so forth. You can be looking for straight arm lock, looking for omoplata and those sorts of things, okay? Pretty cool? All right, first of all, who liked twisting everyone else's wrist? Because when you apply the pressure, what do? They wiggle, you know it works. Who liked it when they did it to you? All right, Caleb is insane and Brent is a little insane. He was like a little bit, right? This is an awful hurting thing, so that's why they consider it rude and a more refined Brazilian Jiu Jitsu kind of scenario. Make sense? All right. We're good on time. We got about 5 minutes left. All right, get a partner close inside. Whose wrists are killing them right now?
Oh, not killing me. I'm good.
All right, y'all are pretty good. All right, I'll do a couple of these standing things to give you an idea of what we used to train a long time ago that got me thinking about these wrist locks. You want to help me first? All right. So he starts from a grip, right? Everybody knows how to shuck the grip, right? Grab, pull, shuck, grab. Now, I'm at a point where I've got this part of his hand, okay? Thumb goes here, I step under, right? Now watch, I'm gonna grab these fingers, bend that wrist, and I twist, okay? Make sense?
Yep.
I straighten it out, okay? Got a straight arm lock here, got a wrist compression here. You switch hands this way, right? Pressure down here. I can affect his balance. I can ram his head to the ground this way. Continue to press this. Now, I switch back this way. Figure 4 area. I can take him to the ground. Step on his head. I've got this one. I switch slightly, and then I turn the arm this way, and I've got a shoulder lock. Okay. Cool. He wants to straighten his hand. No problem. I got this. I rotate out. I've got walking gatami. Right? Walking gatami doesn't work. I crank down here on this wrist. Right? I can go back this way. I pin his head. Now I've got a Americana here. Okay? I step through, and I can rip the shoulder this way. Pretty cool?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I did all off of this particular grip. Okay. You make the grip. I just set my hand on it like this. Hard to get my thumb really into place first. Right? Grab, turn here. Remember last time I had this grip. Okay?
Yeah.
So all of these different manipulations can be done from the top, but I have to get the arm straight. Okay? The elbows are bent. It's very difficult. Hard for me to get that turn over. I pull away, I lift up, I turn down. Right? Pretty good? All right. All right, remember that old school Jiu Jitsu, again, this isn't what I'm trying to teach you, but I'm giving you the background foundation for the more common Jiu Jitsu we've been working, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. But this old school Jiu Jitsu has some value, but you still have to remember that if we're here, like we're going to do Jiu Jitsu, there's not really striking in a very respectful, traditional, kind of, or a non-traditional Brazilian style system. But the old school, we could do things like this, right? And I just straightened his arm out, right? I strike, I throw that, hand goes here, turn him over, and I've got this shoulder, this arm lock, okay? Now, I can do something very simple and drive his head to the ground, kneel on there, and then when I apply this pressure here, it's gonna hurt his shoulder. By the way, I can also drive it not just back, I can drive it up, okay? I can twist, I can compress, okay? I can turn it and go back this way. Now, here's my Americana. I kneel here, and I just tear that rotator cuff apart. Feeling all that?
Yeah.
I can also compress, okay? If I want, I can just hammer down on that and break the wrist, okay? By the way, I could still be striking him, and if anybody out there in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world is like, well, you could escape. You could escape. He's gonna leave this behind, right? Let's say, for example, that he tries to get up to hands and knees. Let's say, for example, he tries to roll. This way. So again, the thing is that with enough pain and enough twist, the more he moves, it's just gonna hurt him. The best thing for him to do is to relax, right? And not do anything. I can also hold this, I can gouge the eye here, right? This old school jiu-jitsu stuff was pretty violent, pretty brutal. All right? Thank you. Sir. All right. So if he's punching, this is always what I found to be hokey. It was hard for me. When I say hokey, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It looks like magic. I don't understand it. Like hocus pocus, right? So he throws the jab or the cross, it doesn't matter. So he throws the cross, and I catch this somehow, and I fall right into this. I was never good at that. Make sense? But if you are good, he throws the cross, and I can catch a punch out of the air. That's what it would look like. But you know what does work? He grabs me. He grabs me and he bends his elbow, right? I can entangle this way, and I can crank this shoulder, right? If he locks it, I can lock his elbow, okay? I can switch to here and make choke. I can switch to here and I can make a throw. I was stepping on his foot a little bit when I went to throw him. So all of this, I now have a good reference point. It's not moving at 100 miles per hour. Start from the traditional grip. Maybe we start from a tie-up with the resting tie-up, right? Here's my first choke. What happens here? Clear this elbow, hook. There's my straight arm lock. Oh, look. And now I've got these. I've got these. I've got these. I've got these. I've got this one. They're there if you search for them. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So my recommendation for you is play with some stuff. Experiment. The handle only goes so far and then it locks. Then it'll go the other way and then it locks. The elbow only goes so far and then it locks. The shoulder only goes so far this way and so far this way and then it locks. And that's what Jiu Jitsu really is. We're talking about joint locking. Questions? Make a line.